How's it going, everybody? I am Preston Johnson.
Welcome to
Last Word Cheetah, brought to you by Bets TV.
You guys are general life.
That's exactly right. You're a fish.
Qwan, by the way, my producer, Qwan Young, doing a good job. He'll be taking the calls. How you doing today, bud?
Hey, man, how are you?
We appreciate you guys tuning in. Welcome to the show, Bets TV, bringing you Last Word Cheetah. What's up, everybody? Welcome. It's Friday. This is Last Word Cheetah. We're here in the Bets TV studios. I am Preston Johnson, hanging out with Qwan Young, my co-host, my producer, wrapping up the week, getting ready for the weekend. Conference championship week in college football. Another week of NFL. We've had hoops, plenty of college, NBA. There's hockey going on. MLS playoffs, I believe, still rolling. And that's that. We take calls. 661-515-BETS is the line. Call. Tell us bets that you're looking at for the weekend. We talk them through. We track them. At the end of the month, we give you cash if you're actually good at picking winners. Pretty straightforward. That's where we're at. And I believe Qwan lost another bet on who is going to be the first caller.
That doesn't matter. Listen, this is what I want to say. Thank you to our callers.
I did notice that parlay. I wasn't sure if you wanted to take credit yourself.
No,
give it
absolutely.
To the callers.
Well,
okay.
The Cowboys and the under I took. Well, I took the under on Betting Extraordinaire. But Andrew in Chicago, he convinced me. I was listening to the call, and I was sitting here during Mad Lab. I was like, I'm going to put a bet in, but I don't know what to put in.
It was Spurs money line.
Spurs
right?
money line.
Okay.
At plus 145. He called that in yesterday. And I think you said something about the Suns getting prepared for the Warriors. Maybe the Pistons covered the
spread.
I
like plus 12.
Yeah.
I think you took 11
I
and
took
a half.
11
It moved
and a half.
down some.
Listen, I watched that Pistons game so intently. The fourth quarter.
They cut it to 5 with like 2 minutes left. It shouldn't even be close, and then it went to 13.
And then, listen, I think they hit a 3. They hit Shamit hit a 3.
Right, and then Cam Johnson, they called timeout because it was an 8-point game.
Yeah.
Then they got a bucket, and Cam Johnson hit a 3 up top.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was 13.
It got to 13.
And the Pistons had to get a 2 on a follow-up.
And Killian Hayes was about to foul, like in the last.
Oh, when they were dribbling.
When they were dribbling out, like I'm
the bottom
yelling.
of the screen.
I'm yelling, get away from him.
It's like 4 seconds left, down 11.
Yeah, like
shot clock set 3 seconds, and he's trying to get a steal.
On top of him.
Luckily, the ref's like, I just want to go home.
Yeah, that's it.
He was reaching. I saw it too.
Yeah, but thank you to the callers for being as great as you are.
What did that actually pay? What was the overall price?
For
like 17, 18, 19, 20 to 1, something in there?
I don't remember.
How much did you get paid?
I put 25 on it. It got 386.
Okay. So you don't know what that is?
No.
Okay, it's about 15 to 1.
Okay. Listen, why would I know that? I keep telling what do you
mean? It shows you usually like 25 to win 380. It should say plus 15, 20 or whatever the price.
It doesn't do that. It doesn't do. Listen, everything's just a wild guess for me.
Holy cow! Plus 15, 20. Nailed it exactly.
Bingo. That's why
good.
you're the Sportscheetah.
That's right. Well, congrats on a win though.
Yeah.
I don't know the last time you hit a parlay like that. That's probably your biggest parlay hit ever.
No.
Because even your other NFL ones, they're not like underdogs that are plus 185 that cash. Because that's what boosted.
Is that the biggest? That might be yeah, you might be right.
And over a 15 to 1 shot, I imagine is. Even if you hit one of your NFL ones, it's a bunch of favorites. It didn't pay that much. My guess.
I'd probably need to start keeping track of my bets.
Get the Excel doc up.
Yeah.
Who's up first? Was it Nick that you said? I was walking in from using the restroom right before we went live, and I think you were yelling at someone.
I was yelling at Nick. That's right.
Okay,
he's so inconsistent.
You pick him like almost every day.
I picked him yesterday.
But he was wrong yesterday, and now he called today first.
I got a migraine. Migraine.
You have a migraine?
No, that's what he said.
Nick, you have a migraine?
Yesterday.
No, it's mostly gone now. It's like sometimes I get visual migraines type of stuff, but I normally don't get any like pain with them. But man, like I had like some bug like a couple nights ago, and it lingered in hard into yesterday, and it was just brutal pain. So yeah, I was out on the couch for most of it, but we're better now, so we're all good.
I get like one every year or two, and they're not fun. Yeah, it's usually I get it from my mom, who's really allergic to MSG. And if I accidentally have MSG, I get a migraine. It's the same exact thing as her, not as drastic, but occasionally I'll accidentally have MSG in something. And so they haven't been great. I know some people, though, it's just like, it's death. Like, I do not envy you at all.
Yeah, it's those ones can be brutal. I've only had 2 in my life that have had pain, fortunately, and that was the second one. But usually it's a visual thing for me. So I was shocked when it happened with the pain, but we got through it. Qwan, congrats on the parlay win. But did I hear that right? That Qwan won a parlay with taking the favorite and an under in the same game. Did I hear that right?
He laid it with Dallas and then played under. He probably should have just bet the Saints team total under or something. But yes,
I can't.
There's no team totals?
Oh, right. Yeah.
Okay. Really?
Okay.
That skin doesn't have team totals at all, or you just can't parlay them?
No, it's no team totals at all. I don't think. I got to double check. With straight bets, I haven't seen it.
That surprises me. Nick, what is up for today? You have any more college that you want to lock in for the leaderboard?
There's a couple at the current numbers. There's like 1 to 2-ish leans, but I'm actually gonna switch it up here a touch. Let's go college hoops, and I'm not going to do college hoops probably that often when I call in, but I think there is a massive size disadvantage here, and I follow Iowa basketball pretty closely, so I'm going to actually lay it with Purdue, even though I'm paying a slight premium on this.
Interesting. Okay, so let me see what the 12.5 is the best price. It looks like moved up a little bit.
Yeah, it steamed up. So.
That seems high in general. Is Iowa that bad this year? I haven't been running my own stuff yet, so.
So I can run it more from the Iowa side. Iowa's played 7 games. They're 7-0. The first 6 games, they played the highest ranked team I think they played, at least according to like Ken Palmer Torvik, has been like 215th in those 6 games. Then they played the ACC.
They won by 1.
Yeah, then they played Virginia. They had like a big lead at half, and then they started to blow it late, and they found a way to win there at the end. But the biggest thing that I have massive concern about for Iowa, though, is their size, and they cannot rebound right now against a team with size, and Purdue has size. And it's one of those things where, like, also, you know, Keegan Murray right now, I think, Keegan Murray's like top 2 or top 3 in Ken Palm's National Player of the Year rating. Like, Keegan Murray's been really good. He actually might be a first-round draft pick. But if he's slowed down, you know, they got Jordan Bohannon who can shoot. But right now, the offense, I'm not sure where it's going to come from against this Purdue team. I think this could be just like a rude awakening right now for what Iowa's going up against right here. I'm worried about this spot.
So Purdue comes in, I think they're number 2 in the rankings. Think of it this way, they rebound over 41% of their misses on the offensive glass, which is like 4th best in the country. They shoot over 44% from 3. That's the 2nd best rate in clip in the country. They shoot almost 62% from 2, which is also the 2nd best clip in the company, the company, but also the country. And then Iowa on the flip side, defensively, their rebound grades, they're above average, but they haven't faced anyone nearly close to where Purdue's going to be. So this is interesting. Basically a matchup play that, could absolutely flip the other way.
Yeah. They lost Garza, and then also they lost Jack Nungy to transfer to Xavier. So, like, their 2, like, trees, so to speak, are gone. So, like, the Murray brothers are their rebounders, and they're, like, you know, more big wings, so to speak. That's in like, some shot blockers, but from a rebounding standpoint, they're definitely weaker, no doubt about it. So yeah, it's more of a matchup thing. Can I ask you actually really quickly, if you have to go, it's totally fine. We can table it, but I'm just because it's that time of year. If you had to, in college football, if you had to choose a playoff format and you had complete autonomy, what would you choose it to be?
I've always, since I was, all right, we got time. Let's go back to good old little Cheetah's first season as a college football fan. I was 8 years old. Look, both my parents went to BYU. I ended up going there for my undergrad as well. Grew up religious. You're just a BYU fan. It is what it is. But I wouldn't have cared so much. But Gary Crowton, he went and it was his first year coaching at BYU. They had quarterbacks named Brandon Doman, running back Luke Staley, and he brought, I think he was with the Bears prior to taking over, like a spread option offense that just was kind of ahead of its time. And all of a sudden, BYU was shocking these teams. I remember week 1, they won 70-0 against Tulane. And it was like, what? And like Tulane was like, not great, but I remember my dad started kind of paying attention. We started watching those games. And this is one of the first years of the BCS, too, at the time. This would be like 1995 or something, 94, 95. I remember it was like Eric Crouch, Ken Dorsey, that era. Maybe Joey Harrington in Oregon was in the mix.
Oh, the first year of the BCS, that would have been 98, I think, if I remember right. Yeah.
98? That's the first year?
I think that was the first year of the BCS.
Okay, well, then
Yeah,
I
I
was
think it was the
definitely
first-
not 8. I was probably more like 10 years old then. I misremembered my age. But then that's right. It was the 98 season. And BYU was undefeated like 10 games into the year. They're 10-0, and they were getting no respect in the BCS. And I was, as a kid, I was like, 64-team playoff, we got to do whatever we can do to get as many teams in this playoff like March Madness as possible. Like,
Right.
BYU's way better than I'm just like this 10-year-old kid who's – and then,
I love it, yes.
look, Luke Staley got hurt. He ended up winning the Doak Walker that year. So he was the best running back in college football. He got hurt, and then they went to Hawaii. You always go to the island. Back then, home field advantage in Hawaii was like 14 points, and they got slaughtered. They gave up 3 kick returns, and I think they scored 40-something and still lost. So just like that, they go from like kind of trying to pretend like we're in the argument for some BCS title game, which wasn't the case. I think that we got as high as 7th. Sure. They dropped back and then play in like the Liberty Bowl or something. But since that time, I've always been like underdog, as big of a field as possible. And I haven't changed much, but I get you need to be realistic about it. 8 teams would love it. 16 is probably too stupid and crazy, and that's too many games for kids to play, and the logistics just aren't realistic. 8 teams, and there's always going to be the people complaining, well, what about team number 9? Like, it's always going to happen, whether there's 2, whether there's 4, whether there's 8. There's always a bubble boy, like a poker tournament, whatever. But why not 8? Yep. I would say 8 would be my preference at this point in time, and it probably dates back to 1998 when BYU got to 7th, and no one thought they had a shot or they were any good, and they probably weren't any good. But I blame it on the Luke Staley injury.
Okay. The one thing I'll just add with that is, it's funny. It's like, more than 8 might be like too many games for college players. FCS, D2, D3, NAIA, they've all been doing that for years. That's the one thing I would just say as far as that goes. Now, that doesn't mean it's right. I'm just saying it's funny that, like, that argument I always hear that come up when it comes to FBS, but all the other college kids have been playing more for years. But
they find a way.
In any case, no, I'd prefer 16. That's just me. But, like, I'm for expansion of some type. If we get 8, that's cool. If we get 12, that's cool. I hope we get to 16 at some point, but that's just that. Maybe I'm being a little bit selfish from a content standpoint, but betting standpoint.
I mean, I would love 16 too. I guess I'm just not asking for Qwan shaking his head like no way. I'm just trying to be, again, realistic is the word. But if you had 16 and you had teams like Wake Forest, Oklahoma, Iowa, BYU, Michigan State with a shot, it'd be fun just to watch. But ultimately, does Baylor at number 9 through Wake Forest really have a chance to win it all? It's such a small chance that probably doesn't matter.
Who's number 16 right now?
Wake Forest.
Georgia would mash them.
Yeah, Wake wouldn't be.
Well,
Clemson did.
See, what I was even thinking, because this may be a little too March Madness-y, but I would actually just go 10 auto bids and 6 at large, and then Georgia, they can play Kent State in the first game or whatever, and Georgia gets there's a reward to playing for a number 1 seed, and let the guys just have every conference champ have a chance, even though they're probably going to get beaten pretty good. Upsets in sports happen every once in a while, and it'll make it awesome. So I don't know. Like I guess I'll put it this way. I don't know of one sport at high school, college, or professional level of any team sport in the world other than FBS college football where you can win all your games and not have a chance to compete for your championship. I think it's literally the only sport at any level.
It's probably true. Yeah. It's, man.
I don't know,
You're right about the conference champion context. You're right. You wouldn't just go 1 through 16 on the rankings. That's what I did here, just pulling them up. You're right. You'd want to give the MAC champ and whoever else, Sun Belt champ, a shot, no matter their record, and then go from there. You'll have some at large or whatever is in the mix. But yeah, I mean, I'm all for it. I don't see it ever happening. So I'll ask for 8 right now, and then in 10 years we can ask for 16.
Right. It sounds like the debate right now is between 8 and 12 between the commissioners because they've met on Wednesday, and it sounds like that's the argument currently between 8 and 12. So we'll see what we get.
Sounds good, man. Enjoy your weekend. We'll talk to you later.
All right, cool. Appreciate the discourse. Have a good one, guys.
See ya.
Nick's trying to get Kent State hurt.
There's like a lot of questions he could have asked that I would have just been like, yeah, let's table it. But then I was like, all right, how many teams in the college football playoff? Let me tell you a story. Who's up next?
We got Jamie in Atlanta.
All right, Jamie. How's it going, man?
Pretty good. I would vote for 8 for what it's worth.
Okay.
So mark me down for that.
I think it's good. I think everyone would be happy with
We-
more than 4, though, for the most part. So I hope we at least get to 8.
Yeah, but I'm an Ohio State fan, so we do tend to make it with 4. So
Ooh.
hardly.
Not this
hardly
year,
much to vote
baby.
for me there. Shut up, Quan.
What do you got for us today?
All right, I'm just gonna. Well, actually, I kind of have a question for you. So I was looking at the Iowa team total under, and it was interesting. I can get so it was 17.5, and it's gotten bet pretty hard. It's like minus 160 or something. But I could get 16.5 minus 115, and I was curious, kind of your thoughts on pricing of what's the value of a point on a team total versus a spread.
I couldn't tell you off the
Obviously,
top of my
17
head.
is a super key number.
Yeah, I mean, 17's super key, especially for a team total where every point within a team total is worth more. Every half point's worth more than it would be for a normal total, especially for a low total. My guess, so if you shopped around, I think you could get 17.5 at minus 150. That's probably better than 16.5 at 115. What you're basically gauging, for those that care, I'm going to actually just pull up a calculator real quick so I don't botch this in my head. But at minus 150 for a 17.5, you're basically gauging, I mean, for one, versus that price, you have to win 60% of the time just to break even. But you're really gauging what's the difference between 150 and 115, and that's 60% and 53.5%. So what are the chances in the distribution that Iowa scores 17 exactly? And if it's 6.5%, then it's a wash. That's the difference between minus 150 and minus 115. If you think it lands on 17 more than 6.5% of the time Iowa plays, which in my head, I bet you it is higher than that Iowa scores 17. It's maybe more like 1 out of 12 times, like an 8.3% or something. Then you should be betting the 17.5 at juice. If you think Iowa only lands 17 exactly 5%, then you should be doing the 16.5. So that's how you create and solve the problem. Now, there's actually ways to look historically, teams with a team total of X, full game total of this. How often does it land 17? I couldn't tell you off the top of my head. I'd have to do some querying in some databases. But my hunch is that if you can get the best price around minus 150 on 17.5, it's better by a couple of percent.
Gotcha. Yeah, I was looking at either that or Western Kentucky first half team total over 19.5. And I can
You
get
already
that
bet
at
the full game, right?
115. I did, yeah.
I mean,
So
you could
it's
do that
kinda
if you
gauging
want.
it,
Just
do
double
I
down.
Yeah, I think I'll just double down. I actually think that's a better bet anyways. 19.5 minus 115. There's 20s, juice 19.5, whatever. So I think just purely shopping around and actually what I think is most likely to happen, I think that's a better bet anyways, but was just curious your thoughts on the value of a point of a team total. So we'll go with the Western Kentucky first half.
Yeah, it all just depends on which point it is. And like you alluded to, 17 is just so massively key for a team total that's right in that pocket that I wouldn't want to take 16.5, I guess, is the main point.
No.
Probably would feel more comfortable just laying it with Michigan instead, to be completely honest. By the way, and we'll lock you in for Western Kentucky first half, Oklahoma State getting steamed pretty hard right now against Baylor, up to 6.5, quite a few places from the 5.5 a few minutes ago. So just throwing it out there for people that are listening. Thanks, Jamie. Good luck this weekend. We'll talk to you later on.
Yep. See you guys in a few.
See ya.
We got
Oh,
Patrick.
did he win last night? I don't remember what Jimmy went with, but he probably has. He said see in a few, so he went with the Dallas Cowboys.
Hey, he went with the boys. Yeah.
So I think we have
I
three.
think the
that
only
went.
loser was Mike.
Someone picked the Saints and someone picked the over.
Mike took the over.
Jim lost with the Saints.
Jim lost with the Saints.
Yeah, so 3 are through.
Yep.
And I think one of them is actually Patrick, who you just said is up next. Patrick, what is up? How are you doing?
Preston, life could not be any better right now. Cowboys covered
Wow.
last night with ease. one of my biggest stakes of the year, so I'm happy about that.
Nice.
My wife went to Chicago with her boyfriend for the weekend, and I'm shipping these boys off to the grandparents' house as soon as they get home from school. So I got the house to my weekend, or I got the house to myself all weekend. I mean, you could pay me anything to go anywhere in the country, and I would turn it down. I mean,
so
you know, as a married guy with 2 small kids, I mean, when do you ever get a weekend at home by yourself? Never.
It's actually a fair point.
So,
it doesn't happen very often, and if I ever am by myself, it's when I'm like going somewhere else. But at home, sitting there watching football for like 48 hours straight on the weekend with no interruptions or annoyances, like that does sound pretty nice, actually.
And that's 100% what I'm going to do too.
Yeah, it's worth it.
Gonna
Enjoy
have some
it.
friends over tomorrow, get some booze, and just going to DJ all day on college football.
Love it.
So,
Especially they're the conference
I'm excited.
championship games. So yeah, it's you're allowed to have a little degenerate fun on the conference championship games.
Oh,
and-
yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. So,
What about for NFL? You got
but,
another one that you like that you want to lock in?
I did, but my line moved based on those first 2 marathon calls on the show. I was going to take the Dolphins, or not the Dolphins. I was going to take the Vikings -7 at DraftKings, but that has since moved to 7.5. So I will go with another road favorite. What could be wrong with that?
It did. It
49ers,
106.
I still see some-
Yeah, 16 minutes ago it moved off
Yeah.
the 7.
Yeah. So I will take the 49ers. I still see some flat -3s. This Seattle team, they are drawing dead. I mean, Pete Carroll, the dude needs to retire. And Russell Wilson, I mean, his body's in Seattle, but his mind is not in Seattle anymore. He's mentally already left that team.
Yeah.
I think his finger's still wrong. There's just so many problems with this team. I mean, Pete Carroll's forcing to run with Alex Collins now. I mean, Alex Collins. So it just 3 seems a little short, even without Debo. So, I think the 49ers are the play here.
I believe Drew Wellcapper likes 49ers as well this week at -3. There is a -3 at South Point, flat -110, so we can give you that. Hard to disagree. Seattle is definitely going the other direction, and the Russell Wilson point's also intriguing because he doesn't seem like the guy that would check out like that, but he's coming off the injury. He watched his team kind of play themselves out of any playoff race. Maybe he is checked out. He's going to be going and playing somewhere else, most likely.
He used to be so elusive, and, I mean, he used his legs, he scrambled. He hasn't done any of that this year.
Just hasn't even bothered.
I mean, his fingers hurt, not his legs. So I don't think the effort's there. I think this team's drawing dead. I really do.
Okay. We will lock it in, man. Good luck. We'll talk to you later on.
All right. Well, yep. I'll be back in about an hour.
Sounds good. See ya.
All right. See ya.
Real quick, because I think Penny is showing -3.5 plus 112. Odds are it's worse on a -3 than -110, but I figured I would check for him because just looking at the screen, you can't really get a drop down on a 3.5 plus 112. So in the meantime, I will be looking for that, but we can take the next caller, Qwan, whenever we're ready.
Next caller is OG John in Florida.
How's it going, John?
Good, Preston. How are you?
Doing well, man. Thank you. What do you got for us today?
I'm going to the NHL again, and
okay.
I'm looking at a game I locked in already. And usually in NHL it doesn't steam this much, but this game is steaming, and I think I know why. I think some injuries on the other side, but I laid 125 with Edmonton tonight, but I see it's up to close to 145. So
Ooh.
I think for the contest I'm going to go puck line because there is one stale number I see, fairly stale. So I'm going to lay the 1.5 with Edmonton
at plus 180.
I think I see 180. That 180 is still in the range of something I would bet on for sure. But other than that, I can't see laying at 145. It's just gone up too much now. But the deal is Seattle coming off a good road trip, decent road trip. Of course, they're an expansion team. And they have 3 real key injuries. And I'm assuming with this line moving, these guys are not coming back. And probably there's 3 out of their top 5 players. And obviously with their expansion, they don't have a lot of depth. So it seems like a spot for Edmonton to win comfortably tonight.
Cool, man. We will lock it in. Puck line plus the 180. Good luck. It's a good line movement for your bet, though, from earlier in the day.
Yeah, and I'll be talking to you in a little bit. I got through.
Oh, that's right. There you go. 3 straight callers,
Yep.
all from day 3 coming up in about half an hour. Talk to you then.
All right, take care.
See ya. By the way, Qwan, Patrick's -3 is -106. So 4 cents better. I didn't think to look at first until the very end, and I noticed +112 on a 3.5. Like, this actually might be better, but won't see it on the screen.
I got it. A quick chat bet. Cavs -20.5 at +1800 from Alec in Ohio.
I really wish that wasn't a chat bet. Why? That's crazy. They're like a 3-point dog, I think. I'm pulling up NBA. It's loading. Sorry. Yeah, they're playing Washington. He just -120. So he thinks the Cavs beat the Wizards by 21 plus 18-1 shot. I believe the Cavs just crushed someone, so maybe he's playing that angle. But I believe it was the game Miami ended up sitting everyone out, right? Yeah, they won by 26. So they also just beat the Mavs by 20 the game before that. Maybe just looking at the last few games, like Cavs are hot. Maybe the Wizards are going to be cold. I don't know. That's interesting, but if he has time to call, I'd be interested to see what he says. If not, no big deal, but we can give it to him, no problem.
We got Jim.
Jim, what's up, man? Welcome to the show.
Yo, what's going on? I'm looking to NFL. I have had a pretty good read this year on when to fade the Bengals. I'm going to do it here with the team that makes me pull my hair out of my head and take the Chargers. I'm going to go money line here also.
For the Chargers, let me just pull it up. Switching over, you can get +146. Looks like that's the best price. It is kind of a nice. I've been looking at +3, but it's a few spots are even like reduced juice on the Chargers side. I would lean your way pretty heavily. I've just been kind of waiting to see as it moved up this week. Maybe if it goes to 3.5, don't think it will, but I have been keeping an eye on it. I agree with you. I do think it is a little bit too much of a Bengals bias here.
Yeah, and the Chargers are the biggest mystery, at least for me, when I try to figure them out here. One of the things I read or heard that Staley isn't running the same defense he did in LA, that he's totally delegated it to his DC, who comes from the Fangio background, as Staley does, but pretty interesting read on that. And there's some kind of weird disconnect with somebody Qwan knows, Lombardi, their OC. Like, there's a weird quarterback head coach. Yeah, OC, like, disconnect. Like, I think Staley is like, the analytical guy who's going to Lombardi who can't figure out how to call plays analytically. So they're talented as hell. Herbert's talented as hell. I think they could beat anybody in the league. So we'll just see if they can figure it out this week.
Here's the thing with the Staley point, which I think is worth bringing up, but I also think that the Rams were uniquely personnel-wise with their front four able to play the defense where they are like, we dare you to run because our front four is just so good that we think we can at least limit you, play the bend, don't break. The Chargers' run defense just hasn't been nearly as good. If I can look it up real quick right now, actually, where they rank in success rate against the run. But I know people have been complaining about it pretty regularly, so I imagine it's not great. If he had the front four like he did with Ndamukong Suh, like anyone else there that can just plug it up, or at least trust to, at the very least, limit explosive and big plays, I think they would. Yeah, they're dead last in the entire NFL in success rate against the run. 32nd, 60% of opponent run plays are successful, performing like well above average. So that's a problem, and I think that's with a non-Staley front four only like run defense, which means if they went front four only, like it'd just be even worse. So I understand why personnel wise they've just had to try to adjust that side of things, which has maybe hurt them some. And offensively, it does seem like something's not quite there. Herbert's pretty back and forth. We'll see, though. I do like them from a numbers perspective. I think +3s at -105 are pretty close to worthwhile bets. See if it gets a 3.5. But regardless, we'll give you the money line. And good luck this weekend.
All right, guys. Later.
Take care.
Yeah, I hate Joe Lombardi's one of those former Lions OCs. He was horrible. Watch.
Well, how did he? Have you told that story before and I just missed it?
No, no, he was there like 2000.
I said Ndamukong Suh, by the way. I meant Aaron Donald.
Yeah.
I just needed to make that correction. As I was finishing my thought, I wanted to just make sure. But continue.
I think he was the one before Jim Bob Cooter, and like he would it'd be 3rd and 1, and I mean I understand that they didn't have a running back for years, but he's lining up 5 wide and sending them on intermediate routes and nothing underneath. It's just he's so inconsistent with his calls. It was just horrible to watch.
Maybe it's next year a different OC with Staley's analytics, and they're able to adjust their defensive personnel to be closer or at least more suited towards defending the run.
Yeah,
we'll see. I would. Yeah, I still love the spot. If you're a Chargers fan, there's maybe 7 of you total, but I love the spot you're in. You have Herbert and a young coach that I think has a great mind. You weren't going to win it all this year anyways. It's okay. You're in a good spot. They'll figure it out, hopefully. All right, who's up?
Andrew in Chicago.
Andrew, what's up, man? How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you guys?
Likewise. Doing well, thank you. What do you got for us today?
I decided you needed more hockey content today, so I know you guys love talking hockey, but I'm going to go with the Rangers puck line tonight. It's a pretty bad scheduling spot for the San Jose Sharks. It's going to be their 3rd game in 4 nights. The Rangers are pretty good offensively. They can definitely run the score up. I just think this is a tired spot for the Sharks tonight.
Okay, +130, I believe, is the best price on the puck line.
Yeah, the money line opened at about $1.65. I think it's at 210 now, so losing a lot of value, but it should be a pretty good play.
All right, that sounds good, man. Good luck tonight. We'll talk to you later.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
Yep. See ya.
This is a hockey field show.
I mean, there's only 2, but 2 is more than usual.
Yeah,
those 2 hockey plays.
At the top, at least. We got Paul in Tuscaloosa.
Put them through. Paul, how's it going? Are you feeling nervous about tomorrow? How are things?
I'm a little bit nervous. Yeah, I'm expecting a loss, but so I guess we're going in with no high expectations. So I guess
you won't feel too bad.
We'll see, but yeah. I was I was like Qwan last night, sweating that Suns final minute there. So it was interesting. And also you mentioned Gary Croton, the first of the show. That brings back that memories for me as well, because he was the OC at Louisiana Tech, or actually head coach, I think, at Louisiana Tech when they beat Alabama a couple times in the 90s. So we're very familiar with him in these parts. So he had a pretty innovative offense for that time, like you said, and I think he was also the OC for Les Miles at LSU, when he won his championship. So he's been around the block for sure. So
I'll throw it out there real quick. Yeah, La Tech. I had my years like totally wrong. For some reason, I thought I was way younger than I was when I cared about college football. But La Tech was actually 96 through 98, where he was the head coach. Then he went to the Bears, and he was an OC, and then he took over at BYU 2000 through 2004. And then he was at Oregon as an OC, and then for 4 years at LSU as an OC. And then he obviously was doing, what was it? Who's the guy? No, I'm thinking of someone else. Who was just coaching at, he was at Cal with Aaron Rodgers, then he was just at Fresno State and turned Fresno State around.
Jeff Tedford.
Thank you. For some reason, I get those two guys mixed up. But I've always respected those two kind of more old school guys. And one of my buddies played at Cal, so I followed Tedford when he was there coaching. Kyle Buller as the quarterback that went to my high school. So anyways, those two have always been like two of my favorite, but great call on La Tech. I'd forgotten about that.
Yep. But yeah, I'll keep it simple for the leaderboard this month. I'm going to go team total over on Pittsburgh. I think it's maybe 37.5, I believe, right now.
I can give you a
Just gonna
36.5 at minus 125,
Oh, okay.
or
Yeah, I'll take
37.5 is more flat.
that. I'll take the 36.5.
Okay.
But yeah, it's Wake's defense is bad, as we all know. So we're gonna ride with that.
Fair enough. We will lock it in, man. Good luck
Yep.
this weekend.
I appreciate it. Yeah,
Take care.
thanks. Bye-bye.
We got Shank.
All right, Shank. How's it going? Welcome back to the show. How are you doing?
What's up, man? Not bad. Yourself?
Doing well. Thank you. What do you got for us this weekend?
First, do you mind indulging me in a game of line? Like, can you set the line here?
Yes, of course.
All right. So Pitt basketball is playing tonight against Virginia. Pitt team total tonight against Virginia versus Pitt team total this weekend against Wake.
Okay, just a second. I need to look at what the total is tonight. I mean, the Virginia totals are
like
all so low.
I know it's like 113.5, and Virginia is like a 14.5 point favorite.
13.5, 14. So down to 112.5 some spots. So we're looking at 56 minus, we'll say 7. So we're like a 49.5 versus a 36.5. I mean, the basketball team should still beat. But here's the thing. I mean, Pittsburgh, the football team, could easily get into the 40s or 50s.
No, that's what I'm saying.
So if you had to, I'd probably price football team somewhere around like plus 275 off the top of my head. Something like that is probably about fair.
Oh, okay. All right. I was guessing spread. I was like, are you gonna set them 2 touchdowns?
Oh well, the spread's gonna be 36.5 and 49.5, so 13.
Yeah. All right. I love when football scores look like basketball scores and basketball scores look like football scores. Yesterday, Delaware State was like 5-4 with 10 minutes left in the first half. It was gross.
Really? Oh, geez.
Yeah. Yeah, it was horrible, dude. I bet I had Delaware team total over, and I mean, like, I only blew it. They finished like 15 points under, but they had 5 points to start in the first half. It was gross. But I will take New Mexico State on the money line today.
Ooh, okay. By the way, I did finally just look up the team total for Pittsburgh basketball. One spot has it. 49.5 is correct. Juiced under. So, yeah, that's about right. New Mexico State money line, I can give you minus 109. That looks like the best price.
Okay. Yeah, I'll take that. It was all right. So these two teams already played, and it closed New Mexico State -8 like 2 weeks ago. New Mexico State played in a weird game where both teams shot over 50%. And like, I didn't watch the game. I was trying to find a clip of the game because there was a power outage the entire time during New Mexico State, or at least it like started with like 7 minutes gone in the first. It was weird, dog. Both teams had a free throw rate over 50%. Like, I've never seen that before in my entire life. And so I just think this is a weird spot. And like, so I think that was a weird spot to come off of. Plus I make New Mexico State a favorite by more than a possession. So yeah, I'll take the money line.
So you were, just to confirm, because I don't have it off the top of my head, when they played a few weeks ago, New Mexico State closed -8 at home?
No. Sorry. They're saying the home court advantage is worth 7 points. Like each 3.5 each way, right?
Flip.
So
yeah, I mean, it's not
-8 a couple weeks.
It's not totally out of line, in my opinion. It depends on the home court advantages in college basketball by school, but I mean, you have some that are worth as much as like 5 points. So, are you tipping New Mexico worth 3.5 each? Maybe it's more like 6.5. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not too egregious in my head.
Yeah, I mean, like, the Pitt's a tough place to play. It's like I've never been there. People say it's tough, and so maybe New Mexico State's home court advantage is worth more. I generally think that home court advantage is worth less than the market does, is what I've seen like when I have my numbers. So that's another reason I'll play these. But yeah, also I'm like watching the YouTube thing. It's Shank from DC, not Vegas.
Oh. Is there 2 Shanks, or did you just put Vegas for some reason?
Called in,
I've
he
never
said
said Vegas.
Your
Once
friend from Vegas, right? Like that was his first call in or something.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, that's
Maybe he was making a joke.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh no, it said New Jersey before too, and I was like, which where is like where I'm originally from.
You're
But
Carmen San Diego, Shank.
Apparently, dog. Apparently. But yeah, all right, cool. So yeah, if you could lock in New Mexico State, that's what I'm gonna go with tonight.
Sorry, I'm coughing real quick. I gotta look at something.
Sure.
UTEP, Ken Palm has it 2.9. Yeah, I'm guessing that you might be a little bit right. 7's a little high, but 6 is probably fine for a swap on home court advantage.
Okay.
In college hoops. So,
all right.
Yeah, we will see. Good luck tonight, man. We'll talk to you later.
Thanks, boss. Yep. Bye.
I was double checking. He wrote an article about assessing site-specific home court advantage in 2018. You guys can Google it. There's 2 parts, actually. Anyways, just a heads up. For those that care, who is up next?
We got Evan.
Evan, how's it going, man?
All is well, Preston. How about yourself?
Likewise. Doing well. Thank you. Excited for the weekend. What do you want to lock in for your stuff tonight?
Everyone's got a little birdie these days, but I got a little eagle in Philadelphia that's telling me that Aiden Hutchinson's going to win the Heisman, so that's who I'm going to lock in.
Wait.
To win the Heisman, Aiden Hutchinson.
Hey, hold on a second. How serious are you being right now?
Serious. I think if he gets one more sack in the next game, he's already set the Michigan school record. It's like Desmond Howard's 30th anniversary. That's probably talked about in the Heisman room. I think the writing's on the wall.
You said a birdie from Philadelphia, like someone that is seeing votes already?
I can't reveal my sources, but
Eagle.
There's a gentleman from Philadelphia. His name is Jim. You may know him.
You're the guy that called in a few seconds ago. Hold on. Did you say what was the price that you saw?
Well, on the FTN, I pulled it up, and it's all over the place. So I don't know how accurate the FanDuel one is, but MGM's at plus 1,200 right now.
I saw FanDuel 16-1 there too. I'm going to actually go to the FanDuel site right now. I mean, 16-1. Let's talk about this outside of the scope of this show. At 16-1, it's loading real quick. You have to win that bet he has to win the Heisman about 6% of the time, I believe, to break even. A little bit under 6%. So if you think he wins about 6% or more, it's a worthwhile bet if you can get that 16-1. I just didn't think he was even in the mix. Now, it's interesting because someone else DM'd me, I think a listener, and he said, if Bryce Young doesn't have a good game or they get blown out by Georgia, I guess he's still going to win the Heisman. And I just said, I honestly have no idea. It's so up in the air, back and forth. Before last weekend, it was Stroud. Now it's Young, even though they barely won and they couldn't really score against Auburn. Maybe there might be more to this than I would have initially thought. Bryce Young's minus 220. By the way, Hutchinson on FanDuel is 16-1 for real. So that is a real line. We'll give it to you. But
perfect. I'll take that.
One sack and a win.
There's some real narratives this year. Like, can Kenny?
Well, here's the thing:
really
if you don't have someone that blows everyone else out of the water from their stats, like if you don't have like a Lamar Jackson, or it just doesn't matter, their stats are so impeccable, then the narratives build and actually make sense. And throw the analytics out. This is just people that are voting. It is all media narratives anyway. So you have to somewhat, gauge prices and stuff. But when it comes down to it, is a narrative for Aiden Hutchinson, does it exist? Yes, especially when there's no runaway, especially if Bryce Young loses to Georgia, which they are an underdog. Interesting. Very interesting. We'll remember this one. The Eagle has landed Hutchinson 16-1. It's amazing. All right, man.
Thanks,
good luck
Hudson.
This weekend. We'll talk to you later.
Have a great one. Bye-bye.
Do they do the Heisman? When is the presentation this year? Is it before the playoff game?
The presentation?
Yeah.
Wait, hold on a second.
Like, when do they vote on it?
They vote on it earlier, but the actual ceremony is usually like way later on. I'm trying to Google the actual.
Yeah, me too.
It's in New York City. Monday, the final four finalists will be announced Monday, December 6th. Then they'll be invited to New York City for the ceremony, which is quite a bit later. But so they'll have the voting will be done.
So Monday is the voting.
By after this weekend's games.
So if he has a big game this weekend, that's what everybody should be banking on.
If they crush Iowa just can't score.
Yeah.
They win the Big Ten after the Ohio State thing. They're going to the playoff. If Georgia loses, maybe Michigan's the 1 seed in the playoff, and there's no runaway because Alabama, maybe Young loses, so then Georgia's the 1 seed and Michigan's the 2 seed. That's probably his best chance, but it's something. I'm gonna text our local resident Michigan fan. Just bear with me. Qwan, you can talk for 30 seconds if you want. Unless you don't have anything to say.
I don't, but guys, make sure to like and subscribe to Bets TV on YouTube. Also, check out the website. You get so much content on betstv.com. Let me see. I can't pull it up here because I got it set for Preston, but we got Wake Up with Ray G, All In with Jake Seeley. Got a bunch of great shows, a bunch of great content for you. Don't forget Last Word Cheetah, where the callers do everything. I'm sitting here. I got my handy dandy notebook. We're gonna put some parlays in. I'm gonna win some money this week. Look, I'm in the green already. This is different for me on Friday. I'm gonna see how many bets I can throw in because Christmas might be good this year. I might actually be able to buy other people gifts instead of just receiving. For me, Christmas is the time to receive, not to give. So that's all I got.
Don't tell my kids that. We're trying to teach them the opposite. I messaged my friend. We'll see what comes of it in the next few minutes. Do we have someone else that's up?
Yeah, we do. We got Brian in New York.
All right, Brian, push him through. Are we going with the Pats? I ask you every Friday now. Generally, that's the answer.
Well, we played Monday, so I think.
You already did against the Bills. Forgot about that. My bad. So you could double down and go like first half, take the points, or you could just go somewhere else, wherever you want to go.
What do you think is a better teaser piece? Minnesota teased down to -1, or Washington teased up to +7.5.
Say that again. You want to know which one is better?
Yeah, Minnesota down to -1.5, or Washington up to +7.5.
Theoretically, they're extremely similar. They're going through all the same numbers. One of them, the Vegas-Washington game, has a higher total, so you could argue the Minnesota-Detroit points are worth a little bit more. You could also argue that with the steam on Minnesota from 7 to 7.5 recently, even as high as 8, that's the sharper side. So maybe Minnesota. I would tell you to do Minnesota, I think, but it's not that far off or much different.
Okay. I was kind of leaning that way, so I am going to go with Minnesota down to -1.5, and I am doubling down, if that's okay, New England up to +8.5.
Okay, we can do that. Pretty much a classic teaser. Theoretically, historically profitable. Haven't had too many of those this week, actually, so there's a few good options. You mentioned Washington as well as another one. We'll give it to you, man. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
Go Bills. Take care. By the way, Bills -2.5 is probably my favorite bet of the NFL weekend.
Why?
Just numbers too low. 2.5 at home against the Pats. The Bills are still a better team, in my opinion, as much and as great as the Pats have been since Jim said Mac Jones is a top 5 QB. But if there was ever a sell on the Pats, it's probably on the road with a rookie quarterback against the Bills and Josh Allen and this and that at a price that's just, got to lay the 2.5, I think, on them.
There you go.
But that's where we're at. Who's up next?
We got Carlos.
Carlos, what's up, man? How you doing?
Mr. All. Did he take
Oh, man. Yeah, exactly. that alt line was this close. You feel me? It's crazy.
Wait, what was your alt line bet? I thought you had
13.5 Dallas, and it was 27 without 10
to 10, and then the 70-yard pass. I didn't realize that's what it was. For some reason, I thought you were talking about sweating the under in my head.
No.
Because when they scored, it was like, oh, got it. So you got up to 17 with the pick six, and you're like, wow, this is amazing. And then they get the 70-yard TD to screw you right back.
Terrible display of tackling.
At least, 10.5, you still would have lost too. So at least you took the shot on the bigger payout. So close.
I had
like you said.
This
is the problem, and I'm going to just let everyone know. Carlos celebrated prematurely via a tweet plus a GIF. That just never works. If I could have live bet Saints score in the last 2 minutes after they looked like they couldn't score at all for half of the game, like I would have. As soon as you celebrated it, it was just you were drawing dead. Sorry, sir.
Oh, it was crazy. I immediately sent the next tweet out. It was within like a minute. I couldn't believe it. I was like, this is crazy. I thought I had it in the bag, but it is what it is. We move on.
What do you got for us this weekend?
I'm just going to stick to college basketball. I don't really know per se why I'm picking this game, but I want Fairfield money line against Canisius.
You have no idea why you're going to the Fairfield Canisius game.
Let me give you my $50 right now.
Come on, Qwan, stick with me here. I'm gonna go on a run.
I can give you
for that for 5 months.
I can give him plus 102. They're plus one most spots, so I can give you plus 102 on the money line. I can't give you an opinion on that game at all, Carlos. I apologize, but if you, for whatever reason, like it, we will write it down. We will wish you luck and enjoy your weekend, sir.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Take it easy. I also want to know if this Aiden Hutch. Who called about that? Was it Evan? Evan, can you DM me or something if that's like, if you really have someone that told you that or not, or if you were just like making fun of Jim?
Yeah,
or were you just the eagle thing, or were you just doing a birdie eagle thing because everyone says birdie on this show when they have someone telling them something? But like eagle means like you actually have someone that told you should be betting Aiden Hutchinson. If that's the case, a lot of people would appreciate an extra confirmation on that. So DM me, please. Who's next?
Have you been sitting there the last few minutes thinking?
Yeah, I'm texting people like, hey, we might need to bet Aiden Hutchinson. I'll let you know. I would just like to know a little bit more, but it kind of lines up.
Yeah.
When was the last time a defensive player won Heisman? Was it just Charles Woodson? That's it, right? Yeah. But then that's part of the narrative.
Yeah.
Michigan. I don't know. It kind of is like the defensive player never wins it unless they play at Michigan. It's like, I don't know. It's like, kind of makes some sense. All right, who's next?
We got Ty, last caller.
Ty, what's up, man? How you doing?
I'm all right, man. It's ironic that Carlos took Fairfield. I'm a Fairfield alum, so hopefully he's right and they win, but usually that's the kiss of death.
Usually.
I took Renfro anytime TD in the chat, plus 150. I think he scores with Waller looking like he's out. But I wanted to call in because I wanted to ask you if you think there's any value on Michigan 9-1 to win the national championship. Just because if Alabama does lose and Michigan's the 2, based on who they would play, would there be hedging opportunities? I just wondered what you thought of those futures.
1 second. Anytime TD for Renfro. I'm trying to get a number for you real quick. Plus 150. That's right. Okay. Let me look up more or less what my neutral would be between Michigan and Georgia were they to meet, because that's what it really comes down to.
I'm going to let you I'll go back and watch the end of the show or listen to it on pod, but I got to run, so I appreciate you going over this, and I'll just check it out after. Thanks.
Okay, no problem. I should just like switch to cricket.
So here we go. You might want to hop in the YouTube chat because they're talking about it, and it's actually Jim. But
Wait,
Jim has a source.
So Jim's the source.
No, Jim has a source. I don't want to.
Yeah, I know, but so he's the Eagle in Philadelphia.
He says he has a source, and it's somebody that he named. He didn't name them, but
Yeah.
he said they were a voter, but that's all he could say.
Oh, so he just knows that one vote is Aiden Hutchinson? I mean, that's not going to swing anything. If he knows a voter that told him who he voted for, that's not. Does the voter talk to everyone else? That you should dive in a little more there, Jimmy boy.
Hopefully we get this home. Also, what I didn't mention, a lot of people casted their votes already, and they got ballots Monday.
Yeah, people have definitely been voting since last week. I don't know why people vote that early. I'd wait till the last day, get all the info and data you can, and then make your decision. But yeah, if he knows one voter that voted for Hutchinson, that's different than the voter or someone on the inside said a lot of votes are looking like Hutchinson. That's like a completely different story. One vote's not going to do anything. Have you played NCAA? Like the amount of votes when you play at the end of the season, you're trying to get your guy to win the Heisman. There's just thousands of votes. There's one vote. If you know one guy that voted for him is not worthwhile to bet like a 16-1. I don't think. If the guy who said everyone I talked to is voting Hutchinson, then yeah, maybe. One vote's not going to actually do much.
But he also didn't say that Jim didn't say that.
No, that's why I would like to know, what did the source actually say? Who he voted for, or that he's hearing so many people are voting for Hutchinson? By the way, Michigan against Georgia right now would be around double digits, is my guess. People might think that's a little crazy, and maybe that would be a popular plus 10 and 10.5 bet. Let me look up some quick money line prices and implied probabilities there. So let's just say about 25% of the time, Ty, Michigan beats Georgia. They're going to be a pretty big favorite, though. On the flip side, 1 against Iowa, and then 2, even against like Cincinnati or Oklahoma State, they're going to be laying 4.5 to 5.5 range is my guess, which is, pulling up some probabilities real quick, 63%. So if you were to do 63% times 0.25, that's about 16%, times their likelihood they beat Iowa, which you go to the money line, which we can do that too. Just got to do this step by step. My guess is 9-1 is going to be about right, which generally is what happens in a market that this late in the year. Now, the time to bet Michigan, where there was probably value, was they were 50-1 before the Ohio State game. I know some people that actually bet that. They beat Ohio State. Now 50-1 is like the greatest bet of all time, when 8 or 9-1 is like the true line. So that was the time. Doing it now after the market's adjusted for such an event as upsetting Ohio State, probably not going to be much of a difference, but loading money lines, just give me a minute. And I will tell you the exact price based on the 2 projected spreads that I would have for their next 2 games. Now, it also changes some. Like if they blow Iowa out by 35, then the numbers projected for the Georgia matchup or Oklahoma State-Cincy shrink, which then the 9-1 looks better, but we're just assuming that the Iowa game goes about as expected. Money line, no vig, going to be around minus 375. So got to do a little bit more math. So it is about 80%. It's about 79%. I was going to do 80 and then decided to just actually look. Wouldn't have been that far off. We are looking at 9-1 being slight value. It's going to be about 8-1 true price. So there. We went through it. Just going to double check real quick on something. Excuse me, 7-1 is the true price. They win 1 out of 8 times. So 9-1 is actually some value there. And there's upside if they blow Iowa out. Now, if they barely beat Iowa and look bad and Georgia beats Bama by 28, then 9-1 might not be value. So it's all still kind of relative to how results happen as you're like looking over these rollovers. But I wouldn't hate 9-1 based on the 3 minute of quick math and assumptions. So, but should have bet 50-1 before Ohio State. Qwan did. He went big. No?
I missed that. I was entertained by what's going on. Jim says yes. It was a very vague and generic yes to I don't know what you were saying. And then he said he'll DM you.
He did DM me already. I just started reading it.
And then Mike in New Jersey wants Chargers -9.5 at +525.
Ooh, interesting. I don't hate that. I mean, we were just talking about the Cincy Chargers game anyway. It is. He makes an interesting point about there's the media sentiment. He said there's an itch for voters to make history because the media narratives are them being dumb. And like I'll show them we're going to vote for a defensive player narrative.
And if you really think about it, if they're already casting their votes, it's not been definitively Bryce Young all season.
Right, until late. Yeah. That's the best.
They beat them.
The most valuable part of this is that this is a unique Heisman season where there just hasn't been anyone that jumped out and was crazy.
It's been football in general, like college football and the NFL. Like,
outside of Georgia is like the only team that's looked like better than everyone else.
Yeah.
But Heisman perspective hasn't been at all. Huh.
This is the question, though. Are you going to fire?
I mean, I'm going to tell people.
Are you going to fire?
I'm going to just tell people it's worth looking at. Worth consideration. You have to, right? Like now it all just makes too much sense. We've been talking about it for 20 minutes. Just gotta.
He danced around that pretty nicely.
Here's the thing. When I was living and dying by the money I made from betting, you're just trying to maximize every edge. There were times I got really good info, and I've shared it on Twitter or at least privately with people that in my network that get down money for us. I haven't gone out of my way to say like this is for sure the case unless I was sure. I'm not sure about this. So when you laughed at the way I put it, like it's worth consideration, but that's really all it is.
Yeah.
There's no like lock here or anything, but if it's worth consideration because there's some word about him getting some more hype, especially from the media side, which are where a lot of the voters come from, then it's like, okay, well then 16-1 is probably a bad price. And the fact that when you look at book by book, some books are as low as 6-1. The FanDuel one at 16-1 is the best price by a pretty big margin, and then there's a 12-1. But the ones at 6-1, there might be people that have already been betting them, and those other books have moved. But a few that haven't are still sitting higher, which is also like there's an influence in the market maybe at some of the other books where people have already been betting this. So it's definitely possible, but it's no like I got inside info Hutchinson is going to win, bet it all on this. That's far and few between. Like you just don't get too many opportunities like that. But when you do, you just got to go for it. So there's been a few of those times. This is nowhere near one of those. So
you just said, what did you just say about bookmaker, right?
No.
Jamie says Hutchinson is only 6-1 on bookmaker.
Well, there you go. That's a sharper like global book. So yeah. So to get 16-1 at FanDuel when other books are 6-1, that's maybe somewhat telling too. So
BOL is down to 7-1.
Okay. Yeah. If anyone can bet at FanDuel or bet MGM or look at some of the other ones that aren't even populating like points bet or Will Hill might actually have some Heisman still up too. But yeah, price it out, but it's worth consideration. And I don't mean that in a way of like sarcastic, definitely bet this, but that's probably a bad price.
Listen, I know how to end all this. I'm going to place a bet on Aiden Hutchinson for Heisman.
I know which skin you bet at. It's going to be like plus 250 or something. They're not very forgiving on futures or anything.
There we go. It's out here, guys. They took it off FanDuel and DK.
Interesting. I just read something. Not about this. All right. I guess we should get on with day 3 of Betting Extraordinaire. But this is an interesting little, yeah. We'll see if anyone. I'm rooting for it now. I have no reason, unless Matt Corral wins. Love for Hutchinson to win. It'd be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Day 3, 3 callers is all. It's an underdog, a couple of them, and a funky underdog. I will tell you guys and explain it in a few minutes. We'll have a separate link for day 3 of Who Wants to Be a Betting Extraordinaire. Until Monday, we will see you back at Last Word Cheetah, 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific on Bets TV.